Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Two Plane Sports. We are here tonight to break down my personal favorite prospect of the 22 class, defensive back, linebacker, whatever you want to call him, Jayden Rowe, out of Brum and I's alma mater in high school, Union High School. So he has that ties to us. That's another reason why I like him. But he's going to be freaky, guys. 6'3", 215, 10.4, 500-meter. He has all the tools to be better than Isaiah Simmons was for Clemson at Oklahoma under Brent Venables. This kid is going to be far and away the best recruit in the 22 class. But before we dive into him, we're just going to remind you guys to please hit the damn button because it means a lot to us when you subscribe. We've been growing. It's because of your guys' support and help. So just please hit the button again and again, and tell your friends to hit the button, and tell their friends to hit the button. And now we'll dive into Jayden Rowe.
Yeah. So according to Brandon, he's going to be the best recruit. And I do agree. I think he has got an extremely high ceiling. Like you said, 6'3", 215, and that's before Schmitty gets a hold of him. I think he's going to put on some weight. Coming out of high school, 2022 4-star, number 311 overall, number 34 cornerback. And that rating as a 4-star really came towards the end of the cycle because I feel like, and I remember seeing that he was rated extremely low. Just like Robert Spears Jennings from Broken Arrow, they were both rated in the 700-800 composite range, and he ended up at 311, which is pretty solid. Like Brandon said, Tulsa Union high school product, so yeah, we got the connection there. So one thing I saw with him, he's extremely athletic. Like you said, Brandon, he ran track in high school, and you said a 10.4, 5, 100. He ran a 21:15 200-meter dash. And just for perspective, because I never ran track, you can't tell by this body type, but this Oklahoma, yeah, maybe last place, but the 100-meter Oklahoma State record is 10.2, and then the 200 Oklahoma State record is 20.77, and this is for high school guys. So he really was only off a couple tenths of a second on each one. So, I mean, that to be off state records that have been around for years and years, it's pretty impressive. He had offers from Arkansas, Baylor, Iowa State, Kansas, Kentucky, and Oklahoma State and others. And really it seemed to come down to, when I was following his recruitment closely, came down to Oklahoma and Baylor. Baylor was recruiting him extremely hard. He seemed interested. I believe he visited Baylor. And he just ended up choosing the hometown team and stuck with them. And I really think Dave Aranda saw the potential in him to play on the defensive side and was, basically explaining to him what I could do with you and make him the next great linebacker, DB, or whatever. So just an extremely raw product, and someone that I'm glad we did not let leave the state of Oklahoma, because I still think he's severely underranked, as number 311 overall. And you said, Brandon, that you think he's going to be better than Isaiah Simmons. And that's possible. But at the end of the day, if he becomes Isaiah Simmons and just equal, that is pretty darn good. Jose, what do you think about him, about Rowe and his potential and where he's going to fit, and anything else that you can think of?
Yeah, I mean, it would be exciting to see him become an Isaiah Simmons 2.0. I know that's something that Brent Venables had said to him whenever he was recruiting him after getting hired to Oklahoma. Kind of what he has an image of Jayden being once he gets on campus. It really is just going to be a matter of training, getting him to be a little heavier and stronger. But those track times that you posted, at least for the 100, that is literally just a little bit extra effort given by whoever recorded that time. I would be pretty confident to say that if you would put both those guys, if you watch them run, they're probably pretty similar. That guy just put in a little extra effort on that day that he recorded the Oklahoma State record. But so Jayden is just as fast as anyone in the state of Oklahoma, and probably just as fast as anyone in the country. So he's got the size, he's got the speed. It's going to be, can he put it all together on the field? And I think he can. I'm not going to go as far as saying he's going to be the best recruit out of this class, but he's definitely going to be a really good one, and someone that's going to be a really big piece in the defense moving forward, especially if he does become that Isaiah Simmons 2.0 kind of player that can be anywhere, because then the defense doesn't know where he's coming from. Is he going to drop back all the way deep in coverage because he's got the speed to cover the entire field, or is he going to come down in the box and stop the run? It's going to be fun to watch his progression over the next few years. And I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be competing for playing time next year, but he definitely has an opportunity with the safety spots being wide open for everyone.
I'd also venture to say whoever owns that track record, as you mentioned, as close as it is, the owner of the track record probably was and no offense to it, there's nothing wrong with it, but he was probably a one sport track athlete only. He probably only ran the 100 and, similar events like that. Whereas Jayden Rowe obviously is playing 2 sports, so he can't dedicate the time necessarily to 100% track as the state record holder likely did. But I just think it's almost unfair, and it's almost unfair to be that big and that fast, especially in a Brent Venables defense. That's why I'm so excited about this kid. And I know we've talked about it in a couple other videos where we don't really anticipate too many freshmen playing a lot of time. I think Rowe and Jaren Kanak are 2 freshmen that are going to see a pretty good amount of play time this season. The problem is I think Jaren Kanak and Jayden Rowe are going to play very similar roles in the Oklahoma defense. So I guess it's going to come down to, at least right away, who's, a little bit more polished, a little bit more ready to go. Because as you mentioned with Rowe, he's 6'3", 215, but that's just raw. That's not Schmitty training yet. He could get up to, 225, 230. I'm so excited about this kid.
Yeah, and putting on weight, it seems like it's no big deal for Schmitty, because I don't know if you guys saw it, but I saw a tweet. This is going off on a different recruiter, New Sooner. Is Nick Evers' mom posted a picture of him and said that he's already put on 7 pounds. And he's been on campus now. What is this? Beginning of February. He's been on campus for a month. That's pretty insane to put on 7 pounds. So, as soon as Jayden Rowe gets there, because he is not an early enrollee, which, it is what it is. Kanak is. So maybe, like you said, Brandon, Kanak might have the leg up there because he'll have a spring ball with the coaching staff, and maybe that's a little bit of separation. But, we kind of jumped to the conclusion that he's going to move to that linebacker role. And I will say I probably see that happening for him. But on the Sooner Sports, he's listed as a DB, as a cornerback. With that size, we've been needing that size on the outside. Is there a chance, do you see potentially him actually not putting on much weight, maybe 10 pounds, get him to 220? Do you see him staying as a cornerback or even a safety? I think he would be a great safety. A hard-hitting, extremely athletic, can cover, cover the back end basically. And he kind of strikes me as a strong safety, but I also think Robert Spears Jennings fits that role as well. So do you guys see him being a DB at all, or do you just assume he's going to come in as a linebacker? Brandon, do you want to answer that one?
I mean, I can start. Yeah, I see him doing both, as you mentioned. Like, I think he's going to be very Jamal Adams-esque, very Tyrann Mathieu-esque. Is kind of how I see him, because there's no doubt with his size and ability and speed that he's not going to be in the box on some situations, maybe early downs. On 1st and 10, he might be kind of closer to the line of scrimmage, anticipating a run play, go blow that up. And then, on 3rd and 14, 3rd and 15, he's going to be, a little deeper, anticipating pass, because he has that. The most intriguing part about is that just that size, speed, just raw athleticism that he does bring to the table. So he can kind of play both areas. And I think Brent Venables obviously knows it, and he's going to get the most out of him. And I kind of see him early downs, kind of more close to line of scrimmage, 2nd, 3rd and long. He's going to be kind of playing deeper, anticipating pass.
Yeah, I don't know if I just don't think he'll be playing much corner. There's a lot of depth there already, and where he's really going to be needed at is at the safety position. I feel like that's where he's going to start, and then as he bulks up and gets stronger, as he pretty much gets older, he will start moving in a little bit more to play that Jamal Adams style of safety, and then get back, move back and forth like Brandon just explained. But if I think he'll play corner if there's ever a situation where there's injuries that are happening like last year, and that room is getting depleted with serviceable talent. Because we're, like you said, we also have Robert Spears Jennings still. If it's next year or in a couple years, will have Burt. Jamarian Burt is still there, and I'm a big fan of his. I think he'll be a good safety once he gets time. So I just think right now that safety position being so wide open with the speed that Jayden has and how big he is, he can go back there and be an impactful player with every play that he gets to be on the field for. Now there is another guy in that safety room that is kind of similar to him, and we don't have to talk about him right now, and just in regards to size. But Jayden's got, as an 18-year-old, as an incoming freshman, even without the spring training and spring ball with Schmitty and with the defensive staff, I think he will still have just the raw talent and come in and be able to push other guys to get better and put in that position, put himself in a place where he can compete for a starting spot.
Yeah. Something that I see and I'm really excited about. So, obviously we're all familiar with Bookie, Brendan Radley Hiles, 5'8", 5-star coming in, and he was all hyped up and whatever. And I still just remember Bookie playing against like a Charlie Kohler or a Kolar, however you want to say it.
The West Virginia game.
Yeah, where, they were just running go routes. But when I think of like an athletic tight end like Kolar or, various other tight ends that have come through the Big 12 and for, the SEC eventually, is having someone that is 6'3". I mean, he could still grow to be 6'4". I mean, how nice would it be to have someone that can play corner or who has experience playing at that spot, and you can say, you know what, you're going to be matched up with this tight end that's 6'6", 240. Well, Jayden Rowe might be 6'3", 6'4", 220 pounds himself. There's no extreme size difference. I mean, basically, when Kolar was matched up with Bookie, they were just playing keep away, just throw it up, and Kolar would just moss him every time. I mean, having a guy that can play that with that size, that's something that's been needed desperately. And watching Bookie, I still have nightmares about it. Just watching him get beat. Well, I mean, just running go routes past him.
That West Virginia game was the worst game I've ever seen anybody play safety in my entire life. It hurt to watch.
It was ridiculous. But I'm just thinking about having a guy like him that can play a tight end the way it should be played. I think it's huge, and it's going to pay dividends down the road. Is there a chance that he could push for a starting position this year as a safety? I mean, we think about it. I mean, you lost DTY, you lost Patrick Fields, so you've got Key Lawrence, Spears Jennings is coming in. I'm thinking of off the top of my head. Yeah, Jordan Mukes is there. Jamarian Burt's there.
Harmon.
Yeah. Oh, Damon Harmon. Justin Broyles is there. Broyles doesn't have the size. Key Lawrence. I don't see why he couldn't push for a starting position. And maybe it's a game-specific matchup that he needs for a big tight end or a big receiver, because we've seen a number of receivers just moss our corners and safeties. What do you guys think?
Imagine him and Key Lawrence as the starting safeties?
Yeah.
That to me is that's the dream right there.
I don't think that'll be happening next year, personally. I just think that he'll push people for that time, and he will get time on the field. I think it's more likely that he's gonna get redshirted when it's all said and done after this next season than being the starting safety next to Key Lawrence.
Yeah. I mean, that's totally fair. I mean, you're probably right. It would be nice to get him a year in the system, keep his 4 years of eligibility and get him in the shape that OU wants him in. So I don't know. I think he's being recruited and he's going to be given the chance to play as a safety, but he very well might just go straight to bulking up and playing as a linebacker and just go in the Isaiah Simmons role. Could you imagine having Kanik and Jayden Rowe with both their speeds coming off the side?
It's like it gives me goosebumps, because I think that they're to me they're so similar players. I think Kanik is maybe not quite as fast, but he's damn close. But when it comes to strength, Jaren Kanik has that advantage, and that's why I think Kanik maybe for this immediate season, because I do think it's either going to be Rowe or Kanik who are going to start as freshmen. So that might leg up Kanik just being a little bit stronger. And the fact that, as you mentioned, he is an early enrollee, he's already there, kind of working on his craft. Where let's face it, Jayden Rowe is a senior in high school, living his best. I imagine just living his best 3 months until. I'm not saying he's not working out or anything like that, but he's probably playing a lot more video games than Jaren Kanik. He's probably staying up a lot later than Jaren Kanik. He's probably doing normal 18-year-old, 17-year-old kid stuff. Whereas Jaren Kanik, not saying he's not playing video games and stuff, but he's probably also maybe a little bit more locked in and more on a tighter schedule.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, seeing like how the athletes were pretty much scheduled. Their whole days were scheduled with study hall and lifts, practice. Yeah, Jaren Kanik's got a lot more structure in his day than Jayden does right now. I think that's just more than likely fact at this point because of the staff is, OU staff is there to make sure Kanik is passing his classes and making sure everything's good. While Jayden Rowe, like you said, is going through the last semester of high school, which is awesome. I think everyone can look back at their last semester of senior year and think about how much you didn't care and were just waiting for that day where you just throw your cap up and you never have to go back to that place ever again. While Jaren's definitely going to have that edge on him. But I also agree with you. Jayden's has the natural talent to be with him as like the two guys that could compete for starting minutes as freshmen. It's just that edge where Jaren comes in and as an early enrollee in the safety position, while it's open, there's Trey Morrison coming in as a transfer. Key Lawrence could be moved back there.
Potentially Cody McKenzie too could push for his playing time. I think as a freshman, but that's another debate. But I think it's only those three.
Yeah. So obviously we're all very high on Jayden Rowe, and rightfully so. He's an extremely talented kid and has a very high ceiling. So something we did in the Houdats, in the last offseason, some of you guys were watching it. I know it was a lot smaller back then. You guys probably haven't seen it all. If you hadn't already, go back through our playlist. There's a whole playlist of all the Houdats that we did last offseason.
Just don't watch the Caleb Williams ones or any of those ones.
Yeah, don't watch the Caleb Williams or the Latrell McCutcheon.
Our feelings have changed a lot since then.
Yeah, exactly. So something that we would do and I would pose is, like for a defensive player, over under on playing time, percentage of playing time, or tackles or interceptions. So for Jayden Rowe on defense, I'm not going to pigeonhole him into a DB or a linebacker for this season. Let's do the percentage of plays. What percent? And I'm going to set it at, I'm going to say 20%, or let's do 15%. 15% of his playing time.
Of the total snaps of that Oklahoma defense plays?
Yes.
I'm taking the over.
Of this season, 15% over under.
I'm taking the
Brandon,
over.
You're taking the over? Jose?
I'm going to take the under just because I think he'll be redshirted. I know I feel like I keep like going back and forth when I talk about him, but I just feel like I've already claimed that Trey Morrison is going to be a starting safety, so there's only one spot available, and I think that position is going to be either Keys or Jordan Mukes to compete for because they're older, or Broyles. So mentally I want to say he's going to be a starter, but I've already pigeonholed myself to say
he doesn't have to start to play over 15% of the snaps.
I think at the end of the day he'll be redshirted probably because he's not an early enrollee.
Yeah, and I think he's going to play over. I think it's going to be in that 15 to 20% range on the defense. But somewhere I see him playing some snaps, and I'm not factoring this in, is I think he could be a very good special teamer as far as a gunner goes. Because with that kind of speed to get down the field, someone that can tackle in space and play the field position game, I think that could be some place that he could excel day one as he comes on campus. And that might burn his red shirt, but it is what it is. I'm going to go over. I'm going to say he's going to be around that 18 to 20%. I don't think it's going to be like he's going to be playing a third of the snaps, but I just think that there's going to be some blowouts. And then later in the season, I think he's going to get into the rotation as he gets more and more comfortable, whether that's at the linebacker or a safety position or even a corner position.
Yeah.
I mean, somewhere, and depends on, the matchups. If we're playing some 6'3", 6'4" wide receivers, we might need him out there. I mean, Key Lawrence is big, and, there's some height now out there, but I feel like he might be given an opportunity if we can't stop someone because of the height difference. So, that's the one I'm going to stick with. I don't know if I want to give over under tackles. I mean, I guess I could. Let's just do total tackles over under.
I don't know if I'm feeling it, but yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do over under total tackles of 20.
Over.
He's playing special teams. Yeah, over. If this is just on defense, then
dude's gonna have 35 tackles, a pick. 35 tackles, 1 pick, 1 forced fumble this season.
That'd be pretty good. Yeah, I was thinking it was over too because he might play on special teams. But so, well, I mean, I think we kind of covered everything with our basis on him, and just I think an extremely high ceiling guy. I think someone that could definitely be a starter by year 2 if he gets a decent amount of playing time that Brandon and I think this coming fall.
Best recruit of the 22 class.
Yeah, Brandon's going to have to hold this for the next 3 or 4 years, and Rowe might end up being a first-round pick, and Brandon might look like a genius or might look like an idiot. I don't know. Yeah. So, all right. Well, do you guys have any final thoughts on Rowe or anything like that? No. Brandon, what's your end of video challenge? I'd imagine it's going to be related to
obviously. I'm very high on Jayden Rowe. I over and over again have said he's the best recruit in the 22 class. Am I wrong? Am I right? If I'm right, you're right too. If I'm wrong, tell me who you think. And by the way, you're wrong because it is Jayden Rowe. But we do have a lot of special kids in the 22 class. So tell me who's the best.
I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of Jaren Kanak.
Yeah.
Jaren Kanak it's a popular pick. Him and Kobe McKenzie, but we'll see. Jaren Kanak is going to be a freak though.
Yeah, that will definitely be a popular pick. So, this is going to be the end of the video as far as covering Jayden Rowe. So what we've been doing is we covered the cornerback position and the depth there. We released that earlier this week. If you hadn't already, be sure to go check out that video. So we're covering all the new kids in the cornerback room that were recruited. So the next guy I believe that will be Gentrique Williams. That one will be coming out here relatively soon in the next few days. So we're probably going to move on to the linebacker room because we got some votes or some suggestions from you guys that you want to see the linebackers. So we're going to move on to the linebackers here in the next week or so. Let us know who you want the first Houdat to be in the linebacker room for the new kids. Is it Kanak? Is it Kobe McKenzie? Is it Kip Lewis? Let us know and we'll pick, wherever you guys want, we'll go first. So if you hadn't already, hit the button. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Everything's at 2Plane Sports. It's all linked below. And we'll catch you in the next video. We appreciate it.